I put that piece together for Vatanim Sensin. Özcan didn't like it. Basically, he wasn't happy with it. Özcan didn't find the emotional part of it correct.
Okay.
Now, I was trying to express something that was sort of about death, trying to actually question the part of the soul leaving the body, which was one of the most interesting parts of the movie. Now, okay, this is where you hear the normal melody, right? Okay,
Right.
You got this normal melody playing around. Then, a bit further ahead, you'll start hearing human voices.
Yeah.
You're gonna hear a voice now that comes. Well, it's a. You can't really say it's a voice, but it's a voice. And that's
Okay.
it's coming now. Hold on. There's the girl voice that comes in first. Now, it's gonna come. From here on, we hear a voice. Actually, it's a male voice.
Yeah.
Here it comes.
Oh, yeah.
That's a male voice.
Yes, that's your voice?
It's not my voice, but it's a male voice.
Oh, it's male voice.
This is the part that I always saw
Oh, yeah.
as the body, the
Yeah.
soul leaving the body.
Wow. Oh, I got goosebumps. I got
It's like,
goosebumps.
I mean, like you're picturing it, just the soul going through the body. And, I mean, it was totally something else in my head. Now, after years had gone by,
Yeah.
this was just put away somewhere. I forgot about it completely. I mean, it was just in one of my discs. And when they called me for the meeting for the Black and White Love movie,
Right.
well, the series, sorry, I had something else on mind, and I gave that to listen to. They liked it actually, but they said, "Yeah, this is okay, but I mean, have you got anything else in the bag?" They said, and I said, "Bag? I don't have
like
any
you
bags
just got
anymore." I said,
Bag of tricks.
well, I don't have any bags anymore, and they just said, "Let's just think about it. Have you got anything else, that just might work?"
Yeah.
And I had a look, and there was something else there. I mean, what's that? By accident, for some reason, I still have that folder, and I'm going, "Oh, it looks, it might be something," And I said, "I might as well just press play, see
What it is.
see what it is." And the director just freaked. I mean, like, he just went, "What?
I
What's
know.
that?" And I'm going,
That's exactly how I felt.
Yeah.
"Is it that
Just-
bad?" I said,
No.
No. Well, you see, at that moment,
takes
it
you
was
in
like,
this-
he was going like, "Oh, what
Yeah.
is that?" And I'm going, "What am I?"
You
One of my
I'm
rejects,
just
huh?
trying to understand, like,
Yes.
Whether he
what
asked
this
what-
reaction
yes,
is
yes.
for,
Right.
And he's going, "Look, oh wow, this is really cool." He said to me, he goes, "Have you used this?"
So is this the original one that you wrote?
No, this is not the original.
Yeah,
Did
yes.
this one for the series, this
Yeah.
version. What
See,
you're
look-
hearing is a thing called an EBO, a fretless EBO, which is so I'll just keep.
I like them.
A frenetic
I do too, but-
Ebo. What did you
EBO,
say? Frenetic?
fretless.
Fretless.
Fretless electric EBO. What it is,
Oh.
it's a guitar played with a magnet that's used within the palm.
Oh. And there's
You
no
don't use a
frets.
pick,
Right.
and you put the magnet in between, like the string is in between two magnets where you have a pickup on the bottom and the pickup on the top, and the string just vibrates by itself.
All right.
Oh.
So it gives you this haunting sound. That
Yeah.
To the
no.
fret.
that haunting sound is actually from a guitar.
Wow. Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a guitar. But it's not a normal guitar. That's what
Right.
I say. See what you hear? See, there you go.
Well, the back there is
That is a guitar.
there is a real guitar in the in the back.
Also, yes,
yeah,
an
yeah, yeah.
acoustic guitar that's playing the arpeggio. Well, let's say the back, the
Yeah.
the chords.
The
It's very
arpeggios, yeah.
haunting.
Yeah,
Because
but
I
the
was
other
trying
instrument,
to
yeah, the lead
figure out what it
instrument
was.
is a haunting instrument. Well, I sort of started using it on a movie I did with Özcan again back in 2013, and I really liked it. And I said, "Wow, I
Yeah.
got to use it somewhere else that it'll just make
Right.
and this was it." And, I did use it in Vatanim Sensin as well too, but I mean, what I did on Black and White Love was much more appreciated.
you go into these meetings, who are the people that make these decisions? A
You
producer?
have a director, an executive producer, a producer. Sometimes the second director is there. Sometimes screenwriters are there.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe you get a few actors involved as well. I mean, I have been to a few where, like half of the team was there. That's when you sort of put on the show. You say, hey, this is the music, and everyone sort of rocks on, you know.
Dog and pony show.
Yeah, and everyone
Yeah.
starts, jumping. Oh, wow, it sounds great. Yeah.
And at what point do you get engaged then? Do you get engaged right at the beginning, or do you get engaged?
Sometimes I'm engaged as it's written. Production-wise, we begin about 2 months before production. Like before it goes on air.
Before it goes on air, not before they start.
It goes on air. But sometimes we can work about 6 months.
So once they contact you, is there a set number of pieces of music, and is there like a template here? Like as every Disney has to have a song for each character and a theme song?
They do that. They do want stuff like that, but do I do that? No.
Yeah.
So how do you know how many pieces of music you need to have to start the show?
Okay. It's usually about 40, 45.
You can write 45
40,
pieces of music
yeah.
in
But
In
how
about
that-
3
long?
weeks.
But
3 or
how
4
long?
weeks.
Like 2 minutes
piece.
per piece, or how much?
Well,
is
I
it?
don't
3
really,
minutes?
I don't really time these things, but it's more a mood to me, and
Okay.
it's more
Oh.
like sometimes it's a theme to the character,
That's
sometimes it's a mood to the series itself.
How many people do you have working with you?
I have a guy, an assistant that records for me. He's in the second room. I got another room there, and he does the scoring usually most of the time.
Yeah.
So tell us what that means. What does that mean?
Well, that is the music placement, the placement
Where
of the
to
Well,
put
music.
it.
So I keep that guy close to me just in case, because if there's something that he doesn't, he can't picture, he can come and ask me. Being close is a good
Right,
idea.
right.
The first 3 or 4 episodes, I personally do them myself.
So that comes from your side of things,
Well,
not
think of it
necessarily
this
from.
way.
Oh.
I do the music placing and which piece of music should be under which
Yeah,
character
right.
or what type of music.
Right.
So it's my vision that is already sort of
Setting
put on the first
Yes.
4 episodes does give him enough information for the rest
Right,
of the
Mhm.
right.
So how long does it take to do that?
Like sometimes they only give us like 12 hours.
Wow.
12 hours.
For a 2.5-hour episode?
It has happened. I'll give you an example.
Wow.
Last night, I thought I was going to be over it by about 8 o'clock. I ended up leaving this place at 7:30 in the morning.
Yes.
I had one of the drama guys here, and I had my music editor with me. But I mean, we sat down and just busted our balls all night long,
Oh,
just
wow.
to come up with something that
Right.
was.
Wait, so did you have to write new music for
I
that
was
first?
writing music here last night. Yeah.
Wow.
I was doing. I think I did about 4 or 5 pieces last night. Just last night.
Wow.
So when you saw the first episode, you said, "Okay, I don't have a piece for this little clip, so I have to write something."
No, this is what happens. Look, they usually give me like rough copies of the series. We've been sort of seeing little pieces
Okay.
of this thing now and then, and you don't really get a picture of it until you really see the whole thing. And in this series, we had a weird situation where the leading actor
Yeah.
was actually just selected a couple of weeks ago, and his shooting was just done last week. So his parts of this was just added last second, sort of into the
Whoa.
So
into the thing.
the world of Disney's is fascinating
Oh,
to
it's
me because
incredibly
so
fast.
fast.
It's so
look at how they
fast.
do-
It's incredibly
this is
fast.
amazing. They film an episode and in 1 week.
I'm going to give you a story.
Oh,
Last week, calls me from the post and says, "Hey, did you ever come up with anything?" I said, "Yeah, I'm about to finish it off," which was a lie.
Yeah.
And I just came back from the dentist and I said, "Hold on. I'll send it to you in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever." So I put it together.
Eylül'de
I put this together.
In
did that
15
I did
minutes?
that in about 15 minutes, and I sent it off. And like 30 minutes later, it was on TV.
Oh my God.
That's how quick this thing works. I really don't get the picture of these things until I watch the thing.
So what would you have done if nothing came to mind? Okay, I've got to have something in 15 minutes, or even in an hour or
Try
2
to find
days.
a good lie.
Wow.
To be honest, I've always come up with something.
So
That's
do you do
experience
something
that
like
lets them do
to
that.
stimulate your imagination? You start dinking around on the
Oh,
piano
yeah.
or something?
Yeah. I'll wait for it.
Just
Ding,
dig
ding,
around.
ding,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Ooh, oh, yeah. Yes, hold on. Ooh, dong, dong.
Wow.
Ooh, yeah, here we go. That's it.
Ah, okay.
So it happens like that.
So what crystallizes the end result for you? What is it
Probably
that
changes
brings the
it.
Okay,
essence?
sometimes when it's to do with the story, it's like if I can find myself anywhere there, That's one.
Yeah, so like, what do you mean by that?
I have a story of my own. Think of it this way. I came here at
Right.
21. I was a father at 22. I got 4 kids, and I got my second grandchild coming.
Oh.
I have my own story, third marriage. You know, I mean, like, don't think that
Yeah.
everything has been so unreal. Everyone's had their ups and downs in their
Yeah.
lives. I have as well. So,
Is it something that resonates with you?
well, if I can find a connection there,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing I look for.
Right.
A connection. If there's no connection there, then I look into the story and try to find something that fascinates me.
You hear music in your head?
Yeah.
Look, when I get, like, for example, this is something I can watch, basically. So I don't really like listening or reading too
Right.
much. Well, listening, yes, to the director, yes, but not like really. I don't even like listening to the scenario because, I mean, I get lost. But when I watch it, I try to find pieces that fascinate me and give me question marks. I wait for one main theme. Didn't really get the picture in one
And
in
then
one
you
piece.
bring it.
If I can really melt it down to one piece. This is one of my methods. I do these long pieces of music.
And then you can grab from
Then I
them?
sort of start taking
Nice.
things out of it and sort of. Then I go, oh yeah, this is this and this is
Yeah.
that.
When you start to get a mood, do you hear a melody?
I know what you're trying to say. Like orchestration wise, you hear the whole thing.
Yeah.
I've been professionally in the music industry for about 30
Yeah.
years, so I hear the thing, the whole thing. I hear it completely. Like,
First you catch the theme, and
Yeah.
then you...
to be honest, it's more a feeling.
Yeah.
Like Vatanim Sensin or Paita. These are like, what we call parts of history, right? So
Mhm.
what I do before I start on something like that is I sort of sit down and do my homework,
Mhm.
basically as what was life back then? What did they read? What did they eat? What was
Right.
what was the main thing on people's minds? Was it like poverty? Was it money? Was it war? What was the main thing
That's
that
the
triggered
tone
things
kind of
up?
stuff.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
why when you listen to like my stuff, you'll hear something like, for example,
Yes.
this was to do with the national anthem. So what I did was I sort of, listened to the national anthem a bit and sort of put together something that would be more historically felt than anything
Right.
else. So this is where, like, the
I
first
watched
time
it.
we hear the national anthem spoken as a poem. You sort of got to think about what these people were what were on their minds back then. It was like a country was trying to be put back together. So you sort of got to have that heroic feeling, yes, but
Yeah.
also this, this honourable feeling as well.
Oh.
I don't know, it's pretty hard for me to express this one. For example, this one. This one is about Abdülhamit, which was an Ottoman emperor, and he was a Khan. And a Khan is one of these guys that sort of like Caesar. I mean, like he
Right.
owns like that part of the world.
Right.
But the end of his story was pretty bad. How can you make a hero of a guy that you know what his end is?
So is that why it's in like a minor key?
Yeah, it's in a minor key, and it's also not a very heroic theme. It's more,
Little subdued.
yeah, it's sort of got that,
Yeah, like too bad for you, buddy.
yeah. And but it's honourable. The guy, because he got dethroned really bad. So, it's like you got to sort of get into the mood and to understand the time and the people and what they were really trying to do. So, and find a way to express it internationally.
Your music transcends a geographical region.
I do not put these things together just for the local people around here. Now I know more that I got a lot of people all over the globe expecting something good. So it's not something for me that I just sit down and do and keep everyone around here happy with it. I did work on stuff like the Gallipoli stuff. It was a mini series.
Yeah.
Ibrahim was on that one too. I had to sort of express both sides.
Oh.
But I'm from Australia, I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Ah.
I mean, I really know the story on the
Yeah,
Australian
yes,
side.
exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I was brought up on that. I mean, it was a big bloody war. Like when I do stuff like that, I sort of have to picture it both sides. Come up with something that everyone will be happy with.
Right.
How much more time do you have? We don't
Well,
want to
as
be
I
taking-
said, I work till like 6 in the morning.
Oh my God.
The night and the silence really works.
You're
That's
creative,
wonderful.
and the
There's-
people that you work with, they're creative. So how do you deal with contention?
Yeah, sometimes we have a very big conflict on stuff like that.
And
Oh,
are
yeah.
you
I've
quite
had-
confrontational?
Depending on the situation. I'll give you an example. You remember a film called Sadece Sen?
Sadece
Yeah.
Sen,
Remember that one?
yes.
What Ibrahim
Beautiful
was?
music.
I somehow work with Ibrahim quite often, actually. When I was putting that together, I actually was the guy to select the director. I was the guy who advised the producer to
Who
have
do you get?
Hakan Yonat work on that movie. He's a very old friend of mine, and he's into commercials now, but back then he was doing a lot of clips. And I was working in one of the biggest Turkish music companies, seeing each other very often. And he'd always blab about doing a movie. So the time came that I sort of took I took him and said, "Here, this is the time. Look, I got something
put the
for
money
you."
where the mouth is.
Yeah, and I said, "Look, I got an opportunity for you. Just think
Yeah.
about it." And he said, "What's the story?" And I told him a bit about the story. And then I got the producers convinced.
Well, it's
And
on
then he got
Netflix.
involved.
It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
I've seen
It's
it.
very
Yeah.
popular.
Well,
It's
we-
very successful. Too.
We ended up doing the movie, and at the end of it, like the last sort of final mixing process where we finish off the audio. It was the last night. In the morning, the guy from Dolby is going to come in. He's going to do the 5.1 surround Dolby thing, and that's it. It's over. And we got about 4 hours left, right? And we're listening to the pieces, watching the music, and listening to the music. And we come to the cemetery scene. The cemetery scene where she turns around and tells the story to the guy, and the guy starts freaking out. And he's going, "Oh, that was me who
Fell,
who
the
dropped the
car
guy
fell,
and that was
Oh,
burning, and you
yes.
ended up getting blind." Well, anyway,
Yeah.
well, it's sort of the peak of the movie. It's the climax.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I didn't really listen to much of the director because, I mean, he never really came around and told me, "Hey, you do this, do that." And I
Right.
said, "Yeah, 'cause I wouldn't listen to him anyway because, I mean, it's his first movie."
Right.
Anyway, I mean, I'm not going to listen to a guy. It's his first movie. And back then, that was like my 35th or 40th
Right.
movie. So while we were watching, he watched that because it was a big piece of music.
and he wasn't.
And
Crazy
he was
about
sort of like watching, and he was going, "Oh, look, the music is really nice. It's very like it's big." But I mean, I don't know. I mean, how's about we do something smaller?
We did
right?
4 hours left.
And we got 4 hours left, right?
Oh.
And by the way, the funny thing about this is actually that was the last scene I did for the movie because for some reason I had completely forgot it, and I just did it that day. It was something I put together that day and had it recorded, and it was just like a very spontaneous situation, right? I mean, I was just very lucky to get that in there in the first place. And I just turned around and said to him, I said, "Hakan, is this your first movie?" And he said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, I think it's my 30th, 35th movie." And I turned around, I saw one of the coordinators there. I said, "What do you think about this?" She turned around and said, "I think Hakan's right." I said, "You shut up."
Oh, no.
No, hold on. The producer's there. I said, "What do you think of it?" He's the guy paying. Hold on.
Yeah.
So I said, "What do you think about
Yeah.
this?" He goes, "I like it." "Okay, all right, you pay for it, you win."
And has your relationship salvaged?
As I said, he's a very old friend of mine. We're not holding grudges or anything,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure if he came around doing another movie, I'd be the first guy to call. By the way, it was a very appreciated piece of the movie as well. Everyone was very happy with that part.
Yeah.
I was happy with it too. For some reason, later on, I really liked it. Back then, when I was doing it, I was like, when you're really doing things quick, you just don't understand if you've done something good or not. I never really have the time to sit down and let the things sink in.
Do you have really a bag of stuff that was rejected that you
The stuff that's been rejected has always ended up somewhere good.
something
Somewhere.
else?
Yes.
Yeah.
I could tell you one of my movies that I did in 2008 was 5 Minarets in New York, which was New York Devesh Schneider. The work I did there, actually, you could hear it in about 6 or 7 TV series, 7 or 8
Yeah.
movies. It was because I did this incredible amount of work on that one. That was a really weird story. This is what happened. They went to America to shoot, and they went around for about 5 or 6 months. Now, before they left me with the 64th draft of the screenplay. It's great. Okay. Now they go. Well, they're not here. I was just piecing all this music together.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there was nothing that I could see. So I was trying to make something of the screenplay. Just to see what I could get out of it. By the way, it was English,
Right.
so I could read it. I mean, Daniel Glover and all that, they were in the movie as well. So
Daniel
there was
Glover?
Oh yeah, he was in the movie. Now, the weird part comes. They come back with this movie, and then the director comes and we do this little editing, and like the scenes were getting cut and they were putting in front of me, and I'm watching and I'm going, what the fuck is this? I don't remember anything like this in the screenplay. And then, like, everything that he put in front of me was just like some other movie. What's happening here? Then I turned around and I said to the guy, hey, look, didn't you film
With the wrong thing?
64? And he goes, oh, didn't they tell you? I said, tell me what? We filmed 78. And I ended up with like 3 movies of music. Because I really did a lot of hard work.
Oh, wow.
And it was just this heap of music I had. And nothing fitted for the movie. I mean, just a very small amount sort of worked on that.
So we'll see a bunch of new music.
Well, I can tell you about something just actually happened a couple of weeks ago. I put a piece of music together for Istanbul again. I was working on that, and then they made me work on Vatanim Sensin. And that was the actual job I was working on back then. And then they turned around and said to me, look, we got a real serious problem on Vatanim Sensin. We couldn't get the music the way we wanted. They just said to me, hey, have you got anything in your pocket?
And you had some.
And I did, actually, because I did actually work on it. But the directors didn't call me back. Anyway, that's another story. So I had to stop working on Istanbul again. But the thing I did ended up in front of a different series a couple of weeks ago. And these guys weren't happy with it. They didn't like it. Okay, sure, no problems. Then there was other series that wanted to work with me. They listened to it, they jumped on it, they loved it.
So you're working on a couple of stuff now.
That was what I was working on yesterday, and I actually gave to them the first episode is going to be on Monday.
What's it called?
It's Star TV, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard
That
about
happened
that.
so
That's
fast
exciting.
like that? Like your music was in?
Well, yeah, it ended up
sometimes.
there, and then it's been about 3 weeks, and I've been killing myself since then to put the music together.
Trying to find the right...
Oh, I'll give you a sneak preview on that one.
Ooh,
This is a nice one.
it is nice.
It's very expressive, very, very intense.
So brilliant. Oh my God.
Love it, love it, love it. Love it.
There has been times that I've gone through hell. For example, Vatanim Sensin was one of the most incredible experiences I've ever had in my life, because these guys, I had them listen to the main theme I came up with, which was basically what everyone knows, the big main theme.
Yeah.
Everyone loved it. They heard that about 1.5 months in advance before it went on air. And we just didn't get to agree then. And they waited. They waited. And they waited.
Whoa.
They waited because they were checking out another musician during that time.
Oh.
Anyway, and there was like only about a week left, and they called me in, and they didn't tell me this. So they made me sign the papers. We did the agreement, and then they turned around and said they got 1 week.
1 week to finish the movie.
Yeah. I swear so much, man. I mean, that was one heck of an experience. course,
Did you try
if you know the series, it's
Yeah.
not small, tiny, itsy bitsy
No,
music.
it's
No,
The director turned around and said to me, "I want everything huge, you know, whatever you got." He said, "Look, just rip your head off, like rip people's head off.
Whoa.
Don't give me any small shit." He
Yeah.
said, I got a big story. I want big music.
Did you work night and day? This is
I
what
don't
I'm
think
saying.
night
How
and
does
day
that-
was ever enough. It was more like I was sleeping here for about a week.
I wanted to ask a question.
Yeah.
If you could tell me any story related to Ibrahim.
Celikkol.
Yes, that entwines with your music somehow.
I can tell you one thing about him. I've sort of bumped into him a few times in my work, and he really digs actually the stuff. He goes out and starts playing it and all that, you know.
Oh,
He
yeah.
really likes it. He really liked what I did on Black and White Love, actually. When I worked on Sadece Sen, I went to the set a few times. He wanted a few things from me, you know, like in the soundtrack and stuff. And I said, look, you know, I'm going to make you the solitary, sort of cold-hearted, the guy who's lost his ambition
Yeah.
type of guy, and I'm going to make it heard. You're going to hear that in the music. And he said, you know, yeah, you do that. He said, because, I mean, that's who I am now. He said, he was that character at that moment.
Right.
So I was talking to the character. I think we were, you know, pretty good on that one.
Yeah.
And by the time that I did like the Gallipoli one, I made a hero out of the guy. You know, everyone was very, very pleased about it. That was something else.
Yeah, yeah.
This is for Gallipoli?
Gallipoli, yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
It just was really hits me. Think of it this way. I mean, the only way I release this stuff is if it affects me,
Yes.
then I trust
I
it.
just got
Then I believe in it. You know, I mean,
went.
yeah, because think about it. You talk about 250,000 people
yes.
dying in a little tiny spot. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
it's incredible. You know, I'm just thinking about it. You know,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's got to hold something. You know, it's got to touch your emotion. Touching that.
Very.
Wow. The editing,
Yeah.
the editing,
The
even
editing was
video.
great.
Well,
Yes,
the
it was
music
great.
kicked off that editing. I gave the music before the editing was done. The
Wow.
editor loved it. He just said, you know, the cuts that he could do
Yeah.
was, you know, I mean, because of the way the music was put together.
Exactly.
Yes.
What you heard, those big subsonic sounds were all the bombs, basically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I sort of pictured the thing as though if I was there, what would I hear?
Mm.
So, you know
these
what-
bombs all the time.
Yeah.
So you know that's what it was all about. You know, the bombs
Yeah.
and what it was like back there.
Yeah.
And as you heard, it's a two-way story. It's not really a one-sided type of thing. You can hear both ends of the story there. You know, it's not just this side. You know, it's everyone. You know.
It's one thing to be a composer, but it's another thing to become a soundtrack composer.
Yeah.
So you have to have a special education for that, or how did you start doing that?
I didn't get educated for classic music. I mean, I never was, but I did have kind of education back in Australia, yes.
Yes.
But
music,
not
right?
for classic music or for soundtrack music. Let's think of it this way. I got a story, so you're hearing it.
So how did you get your first job? I would think it's a very coveted.
My first job,
Composing
like
job.
film-wise, was the first organization 13 years ago.
Ah.
Yeah. And my second job,
Yeah.
So how did you get the job, though?
well,
Did-
I have been in the music industry for a long time,
Yeah.
and I've been a very, very successful guy.
Yeah.
I got like 45 million copies to my name, which is a big
Yeah.
count here.
So you were a known name in the music industry.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah,
very
yeah.
well known.
Okay, so what made the bridge? Did you know someone in the film industry?
Well, yeah, of course.
Or did you
must-
pursue that?
The guy who did Organization, the director and the
Gurgen.
producer, I'm close to the family. And I worked with Yilmaz. We did 2 poetry albums with him. Then I did some background music. So yeah, he was a part, reason for me to go into soundtracks. And then I ended up working with Mahsun, which was a very old friend of mine that I was working with anyway in the music industry. I'd worked with him. I did about 8 albums with him. So it was very natural for him to work with me on the movie. But I didn't really have the background for doing a big classical symphony, music. I didn't
Like
have that
this.
background. Yeah, well, what you're hearing. This was like a very spontaneous thing that came out in like 30 minutes.
This is my
Yeah,
favourite one.
Do you feel like you have competitors in the industry, or are there collegial relationships?
Okay, I'll answer that like this. There's a lot of people out there doing the same job, yes?
Yes.
Do I have competitors? No. The only thing I'm competing with is myself right now. Because,
That's
I mean,
right.
the stuff what you're hearing now, you will not hear anywhere.
Anywhere.
No, that's
You
right.
can't. You know why?
Yeah.
Because this is not a mixture of a guy in Turkey doing music. You're talking
Yeah.
about a guy that's been all over the world. I have been influenced with basically anything I've heard. And I heard a lot of music, man. Like
Yes,
from
where the-
Australia, which
yeah.
has like 80 countries, 80 different cultures
Right.
in like one little tiny
Yeah.
space. And I was brought up in this. So, I mean, like, that's why I'm not really a very local guy. What you're hearing is very international. Why?
It is,
It's
yes.
always an
Yes,
international.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
that's the way I was brought up. So that's what
Yeah.
you're hearing, actually.
And your influence in terms of music.
Yeah, I'll tell you the answer to that.
Beatles and Elvis.
How did you get that one?
Ha! Let's get into another interview.
There is actually, there's a lot of Beatles and Elvis, yeah. There's a lot of, my brother really, he killed me on that one. As I was a little kid, he was in love with Beatles and Elvis, and like,
God.
I was just like getting this 24
Beatles
hours.
and Elvis are 2 totally different.
Yeah, yeah.
But I don't hear any Elvis or Beatles in any of
But
those.
trust me, I'm a rocker inside. I am a
Yeah.
rocker
Oh,
inside. Yeah, I
Oh,
love
yeah,
rock
yeah.
music. I was brought up with like rock music and pop music. I was in the era where you'd paint your face and
Yeah.
go to
Yeah,
Kiss
yeah.
concerts, and I did all that stupid stuff too. I'd listen to Metallica. I'd go to rap concerts and shit. I'm a Peter Gabriel fan. They do those crazy concerts like for weeks.
Yeah.
I went to 2 of them personally myself. You name it, I did all of that. I mean, I was brought up as a normal guy in
Yeah.
a normal Western world that would listen to all this stuff. But I was in a multicultural place, which had
Wow.
different types of music in every corner. I had a doctor from Pakistan, and he would play harmonium, and he took me to a few of their concerts. I was in love with that music when I was like 9 or 10. It was
Wow.
incredible to me. The counts, the type, the rhythm playing. It was just like out of this world, the way the rhythmic stuff was put together there. It was just like a shock to me to even know that there was that type of music there. But you see, I learned all this when I was a little kid. That was my biggest advantage, I'd say.
So do you play any instruments?
Well, when I was a kid, I was actually playing more instruments than I play now, actually. I used to play flute, trumpet.
Those
Well,
are
drums were my first instrument. But to be honest, hold on. It was the xylophone the first thing. I
Really?
started off with a little glockenspiel xylophone. I was about 5. But I was playing it. It wasn't ding, ding, ding. I was really playing. I
Oh,
was
wow.
playing music, like melodies. If it's not in you, it's not in you.
There
You
it
don't
is.
feed someone to create.
Yeah.
You create or you don't. I was also musically trained, yes, but I wasn't musically trained to be a good pianist or to be a good guitarist. I
trained.
always had my view as I was going to be what I am right now. I
So-
never really questioned what I will be. Because there was only 2 things in my life that I was successful at. First, I was very good at playing rugby league. I played it all my life when I was in Australia, and I loved it. I just had a problem that I was like cracking my finger bones. And that
Right.
became a bit of a problem when it comes to my music. So I had to make a decision.
Hard to play
at
the
about
piano with broken
15.
fingers.
I had to make my decision. Either I was going to do music or I was going to be a rugby player. From there on, for me, music was the main thing in my life. now. I'm doing something that I really like doing, and they're paying me for it.
Exactly.
I don't know why. They're paying me for it.
So, at the end of your career, is there anything you would like to say you've accomplished or that you would like to be remembered for?
To be honest, I just want to be remembered. For what is not the question, because for what would be, what I left behind. But I want to be remembered. That would be the biggest main drive that's in me emotionally right now. Because a guy like me would most probably give up anyway, because I've done a lot so far. Because when it comes to the standards here, I don't have any competition, because what I've done is actually a very big accomplishment. I've done about 50 movies in 11 years. I've done like countless series, done like about 200 albums, which has like 45 million copies to my name.
Wow.
I got a really big list. If you think of achievements, I've done that. So, usually a guy like me at my age would say, yeah, I've done it, I'd retire. But I think I'm just actually
What's
kicking it
keeping
off
you
now.
going?
Love.
Vision.
The love
for
inside.
what?
To tell the story inside you.
There you go.
Yeah.
I have a story to tell. I still do. What you're hearing are little tiny pieces of because look, everything you've seen or heard right now is something somewhere dramatic in my life that sort of triggers me to do this. When I sit down and just sort of fiddle around, it's like I'm searching for something inside that I'm trying to remember something that really triggers me. And then I turn it into music of some kind. But there are times that I can come up with like huge pieces, and there's sometimes I come up with little tiny pieces that say a lot of things. In little notes, in tiny little notes.
One thing as a viewer watching these Dizzies, we hear the same music over and over again.
But you hear it in different versions.
But the music so much sets the tone that later, when you just hear the music by yourself, it conjures a whole set of emotion.
I learned that recently. In the past, I thought it was more like a copy-paste type of thing. And then I sort of realizing that if you can get the right type of piece on the right scene, in the right mood, it just turns into a legend.
And legend, that's a great word.
It just turns into something else. Like, I can give you the same piece of music on a picture that you might not even pay any interest in. But when you get it with the right picture and the right mood, it just turns into this incredible piece of art, I can say. That's when you sort of say, now I think I've done something right.
All right, and our last main question, is there anything that you would like your international audience to know about you and what you do, or what would you like to say to them?
There's only one thing. I love everyone that listens to my work. Why? Because it's sharing my feelings. Like, it's parts of my life that you listen to. And if people appreciate that, it just makes me feel, much more in the right direction. I believe that I should be continuously doing this so I can get this big connection with everyone. But I do believe the best hasn't come yet. Because I still think that I'm sort of evolving. You never learn everything. You can't know everything.
Right.
So you try to do what you can with what you have. So if I learn something today, and if I can use that in my music somehow, that just tells me inside that, I did live that day, and I have a reason for living. And if I could come up with like something fresh and something new, and something that I can get like people to dig and myself, I'm in the right direction.
What's your favorite one that you've done? What's your magnum opus?
I'll give you my honest answer on that one.
Okay.
The next one.
Answer.
Whatever it is.